Welcome back, everybody, to Talking Wolves. We've got another match preview today. Wolves are going to be hosting Brighton Hove Albion at Molineux in one of the final games, actually the penultimate league game before the World Cup break. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. And you can believe it's winter because you can sort of see how dark it is. It's not even 5 p.m. here in Wolverhampton, and already rain, cold and dark skies. We're hoping, though, Wolves can sort of bounce back and obviously gained a point last week against Brentford. But Diego Costa suspended. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Let me know your thoughts as well in the comment section down below ahead of this game. Brighton, been an interesting season for them. We'll have the opposition preview shortly as well. But new manager for them, acted very, very quickly when Graham Potter had left the club, and continued a half-decent run of form. They're in a decent place in the league. I think they're 8th place right now, scoring good amount of goals. They got a really talented team overall, some really talented young players, some big sales during the summer window, and sort of invested it quite smartly in a couple of really good players that have improved their overall squad. So they're going to be a difficult opposition for sure on Saturday. Wolves can take a little bit of encouragement out of Saturday's game. Last Saturday's game against Brentford, we saw a lot more work rate, a much better work rate, and much more energy and desire in that game. A complete opposite to what we saw obviously in the last home game against Leicester City, where we lost 4-0. In terms of team news, firstly, congratulations to Hugo Bueno, who signed a new 4-year deal this week as well. Wolves do have an option of an additional year as well, but well deserved. Won the Player of the Month award for October, came into the side against Crystal Palace, got an assist obviously for Adama Traore's goal, and not really looked back. Even last week against last couple of games, he's been really, really good. A welcome addition obviously to the team. Diego Costa is suspended. We will not be seeing him before the World Cup break. He's going to have a 3-match ban. That counts at all domestic competitions, so he's going to miss the game against Leeds United as well in the Carabao Cup. We'll quickly look at my predicted lineup for this game then. I suppose it's quite difficult to predict exactly how Steve Davis is going to line up and in terms of who he's going to play through the middle. But Jose Sarr, I think, is a cert to start in goal. Hugo Bueno, of course, a cert to start at left back. I would keep Semedo at right back for now. I thought he did an okay job against Brentford last week, and of course Nathan Collins and Max Kilman as the two centre halves. I think the midfield three as well, if fit. Mateus Nunes has got to start again with Ruben Neves and Boubacar Traoré just in behind. Nunes, we're still trying to figure out what his best position is. I've said it many times. Quality footballer, you can see that, but just something isn't quite clicking for him, and hopefully the imminent appointment possibly of Julian Lopetegui can help with that. Front three, I'm sticking with Pedence. I'm sticking with Adama Traoré through the middle. I think it's probably going to be a choice of Hwang and Gedge, but I think at the moment Hwang is preferred, isn't he, by Steve Davis? So I've stuck with Hwang up front there, which I'm sure some of you may well agree/disagree with. Do let me know your thoughts on that one. But he seems to be getting the nods ahead of, like I said, Gonzalo Guedes at the moment. So we'll wait and see what happens there. And a chance for players. We've seen Hugo Bueno come into the team, take his opportunity at left back and kept his place. If Hwang or Guedes can do that, obviously there's a place there for them, especially for the next few weeks. I don't think we're going to be seeing Raul Jimenez anytime soon. I'd love to be surprised on that front, but I really don't know what's going on with him at the moment. We had a little bit of a discussion on that during our podcast. And like I just mentioned, Julian Lopetegui as well. Could he be there on Saturday? Possibly. If not, we might well see him next Wednesday against Leeds United in the Cup, or the following Saturday against Arsenal in the league as well. We'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with that. But before we move on, of course, we've got the Bet Make pot for this weekend's game. Wolves are included in the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs. There's a number of games included in that, which are Leeds versus Bournemouth, Wolves versus Brighton, Manchester City versus Fulham, and Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. My team for this weekend, I've gone with David Raya in goal for Brentford against Forest. I've stuck with Semedo at the back with Ben Mee. Boubacar Traoré alongside Kevin De Bruyne, and Erling Haaland up front with Trossard, who is obviously playing up against Wolves. You can change your team right up until 5 minutes before kickoff. It's 18 plus, UK residents only, and please do gamble aware. But we'll move on to the Brighton perspective now. I spoke to Brighton fan and journalist Charlie Haffenden to get his thoughts on Brighton's season so far, which players have been doing well for Brighton, and which Wolves player or players do worry him ahead of this game. So then, guys, I'm delighted to be alongside Charlie Haffenden, Brighton fan. Charlie, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Apart from the football, we're doing all right, thankfully. Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm
Brighton,
doing
on the
very
other
well
hand,
with the football.
yeah, I
Meanwhile,
was going to say, you boys are having a really good season. It's been a busy season for you boys as well. Manager changes, some up and down results, but in terms of the table right now, you're doing all right. And obviously, last weekend's result against Chelsea was huge as well. Give us a quick summary of the season so far. What are your thoughts on it, and what's the sort of mood amongst Brighton fans at the minute?
yeah, I'll try and give the quickest summary possible. But within just 12 or 13 games, it's been quite the roller coaster already. It feels like we've
Mm,
been through multiple seasons. Start off with a really good high under Graham Potter, heading into the top four and remaining there for weeks upon weeks, thinking,
yeah,
what is going on? Could we actually challenge for Europe? I've been very trying to stay down to earth and thinking, well, no, if we can get top half, that's great. Europe is a bit far, but it was starting to become maybe a dream, an actual dream that I was thinking of maybe grabbing hold of. But then Graham Potter leaves. We get a few weeks without a game with obviously the Queen dying, and then the Palace game was postponed because of train strikes, and we were in a position where, right, we need to get a new manager. We get a new manager in. Awful results to start with without a win in the first five, but a very impressive draw at Liverpool to start with on the first match. After that, it was disappointment after disappointment. And then out of nowhere, Graham Potter comes back to the Amex and gets what he deserves, a 4-1 victory for the Albion. I wasn't there, unfortunately, because I was actually covering West Brom that day. But
sorry.
no, it was a very impressive result, and the performance to go with it was unbelievable. So where we're at now is a lot better than what we were a week ago. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, like you boys at the minute, eighth in the league. Obviously, still early days. Only about just over a quarter of the season gone, so a long way to go. But you sort of definitely, for now, you're in the conversation of possibly pushing back towards sort of the top six, top seven, because you guys finished the season so well last year. I think you leapfrogged us in the end, didn't you? I mean, we had a great season and just went downhill drastically. You guys smashed us at Molineux and
Yeah.
did a job. The whole Graham Potter thing was interesting because that moved quite quickly. But I think the good thing for you guys is that the board and the club acted quickly in getting a replacement. Sort of a complete opposite to what Wolves are doing right now and struggle to replace, obviously, Bruno Lage. Potter went. Firstly, what are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on the new boss? Is it Roberto? Is it De Zerbi? De Zerbi?
Yeah, I think De Zerbi is the way you pronounce
That's
it.
it. De Zerbi. There
It's
we
not
go.
simple
Close
to
enough.
pronounce in quite a lot of the
Yeah.
names in the Premier League at the moment, which is
Yeah.
quite useful. But with Graham Potter leaving, it was a very sudden shock. I was a bit maybe overconfident that he was going to stay when Thomas Tuchel was sacked. I was tweeting out saying, "Oh, why would he go there? It's a manager merry-go-round, and it's a stupid decision to leave if he does." And then 24 hours later, it's like he's holding up the shirt and he's there, and I'm thinking, right, maybe shouldn't have tweeted those things. But my point stood. It is a manager merry-go-round at Chelsea. You don't get 10 minutes there without people calling for you out. You probably won't even get a game, I was thinking, before they're going to start calling for his head. So, but no, he started really well, unbeaten until he played us, which is quite a nice little stat that I'm very happy about. And we've replaced him with a manager that seems to be very impressive so far. Even with one win in 6 games, the performances deserve far more than that. Against Nottingham Forest, we absolutely dominated. Against Brentford, dominated. Even against Spurs, we probably should have got a win, but we lost. So I think the results, I know they're the most important thing, but considering we're so early on and we're bringing it to these teams, apart from Forest, quite a lot of difficult oppositions, I think we've made a good appointment there, and I've got a lot of trust in him.
Yeah, and I think one of the sort of the opposite things again to what Wolves are doing. Although obviously you said there were a couple of games in October that you struggled to get wins in, but the amount of goals you're scoring is impressive as well. I think over the last couple of years there was always a joke about Brighton and the XG and so on, and I think even Brighton possibly are still lacking a proper traditional, let's say, number nine. But the fact that you're still scoring the amount of goals, I think beating Leicester 5-2, obviously scoring 3 against Liverpool, which not many teams do, and obviously smashing Chelsea 4-1 over the weekend. Where are the goals coming from? Obviously, I know Trossard and Pascal Gross are scoring a few, but are they sort of the main creators and the main goal scorers for you guys this season?
Yeah, them two, and own goals, weirdly. I think it's about 4 or
There's
5 own
two, wasn't
goals.
there? I think on
Yes,
the
there's
weekend.
2
Yeah,
then, and there was 1 at Old Trafford, and there was another one at the start of the season as well. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it basically is just Trossard, Gross, and own goals at the minute,
yeah,
and even with Dennis Undav, who scored about 25, 26 goals in Belgium last year, he's not really had a kick yet. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe he's not quite up to the standard, or is struggling to adjust to a new country. Who
yeah,
knows? But I'd like to see a bit more of him. Danny Welbeck, he hasn't scored yet, which might not look great, but somehow he's just been called up to a 55-man
I saw that. Yeah,
England squad before the World
mm.
Cup, which I think his involvement in games is very good, but maybe that's a bit far. He just holds up the ball. He's got the experience, as you'll know, having played for England and Manchester United and won countless trophies. He is that presence that players can look up to, but starting every game, I don't know if he can quite cut it. We need
Yeah,
someone to be banging in the goals. It's great with his build up, but we need something else as well. So I'm not sure what the way is to go from here. Maybe another number 9, or try and give Indav some time. But with the World Cup, it should give players like that a bit longer to adapt to a new manager, and he can have
yeah,
Deserbi can have a better look at them all as well. But
yeah.
I mean, we're not got much of concern. I can't really speak because Wolves have scored what, 6 this season, and we
I
scored
can't
4 at the
remember. I don't
weekend.
even know. I should know. Yeah, 6 goals, 19 conceded. Yeah, I mean, it's not been great for us going forward. I mean, last 3 years, mate. To be honest, goal scoring has been a huge issue for Wolves, and that's something we hope a new manager can solve for us. Yeah, Welbeck, I think, gave us a little bit of a tough time last season at Molyneux. I think not sure if he scored, but he definitely won a penalty, I think, for you guys as well. But he seemed to be a real danger man for us. We struggled a little bit with him. But looking at the Wolves squad, is there anyone ahead of Saturday's game from our squad that worries you going into that game?
I think the obvious one, it's a bit of a boring answer, but Ruben Neves,
Hmm.
obviously linked with Barcelona, could potentially be going in the January transfer window on a loan to buy, is what I've seen anyway.
Yeah,
He is a worry because he can create something from nothing, and you give him a shot on the outside of the area, he's going to get on
mm,
target the majority of the time. Unless I'm wrong, unless it's a bit like an Yves Basuma where he takes 100 shots and 2 go in.
maybe.
But he
Yeah,
seems to be very accurate. So I am worried about him. I think the
yeah,
likes of Dan Podence and Guedes, if you can get him going, you've got a lot of
mm,
players of skill and pace. And perhaps sometimes when we give the ball away in tight situations, which we do often at Brighton, maybe you could get a goal that way. Set pieces, I haven't seen too much of a threat from you guys, and he
one.
looked pretty
We haven't scored a
open.
corner for about a year. I think he was a
Yeah, I was
year
going to
yesterday.
say
We
like
talked,
that.
didn't
That's
we?
one
Yeah,
thing I've noticed is you just don't look at all a threat, and we've got a lot of
yeah,
height at the back, even without the likes of Dan Burn. We've
yeah,
still, I mean, he's rubbish in the air anyway, despite his height. We've got plenty of options back there, and no, I'm pretty confident. But it's Brighton when you're confident is when they don't do very well. Like against
yeah,
Forest on paper, we should be smashing them 4-0. Even after the game, you got like 2.5 XG or something ridiculous. You don't get a single one. But then we'll beat Chelsea 4-1. That's just the way
mm,
we seem to operate. I don't quite know what it is. So if I were you, I wouldn't be surprised if you get like if you match your 6 total for the season or something ridiculous happens because it just happens to Brighton. I don't know what it
yeah.
is. I think 0-0 could happen, to be honest. I went to a Molineux 0-0 a few years back, the last game before COVID, and that was
Oh gosh,
don't know if
yeah.
you were there for that one. That
I remember
was
that
I
one.
think
Yeah,
the highlight of the game was Davy Proper took a shot outside the area and it just went into the palms of I don't know if it would have been Sarr or not in goal. And
might
then
be Patricia.
McAllister
Yeah.
came off the bench for his first
Mm.
appearance and took 1 free kick, and it was like that was it. So I'm hoping for a bit more of an exciting one this time.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I think I'm trying to remember games against Brighton. I think obviously you guys beat us quite comfortably last time. I do remember the game before COVID because we were on a great run then, and it was like throughout lockdown, we're like, I can't believe the last game of football we've seen live is a 0-0 draw against Brighton at home because it wasn't a great game, right?
Yeah.
We know that as well. But yeah, Brighton flying high, Wolves struggling. It'll be obviously very interesting to see. Have you got a score prediction for this game?
Yeah, I mean, what I said before, 0-0 could genuinely be an option. You're not scoring, and we even if we do score 3 against Liverpool, 4 against Chelsea, that's when we're getting our goals. Trossard's getting all the goals against the big teams, and we don't seem to do it against those right at the bottom. So
Mm,
I reckon we'll snatch a 1-0. I don't think it'll be a drubbing, even if the performance looks like it. I just
mm,
don't see us doing it. We just don't.
yeah. No, and where can people find you, Charlie, on social media if they wish?
Yeah, mainly active on Twitter at the moment at JournoHaff, or you can follow my Instagram page. I'm not sure why Wolves fans want to follow it, but a bit of insight anyway and statistics. It's called BHA_today over on there. That's kind of my biggest presence, but yeah.
Yeah, no problem. And Charlie is going to be covering Wolves a little bit now. He's going to join the team over at Birmingham World. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
maybe not give him any stick for this weekend. Fingers crossed we do get a win. But obviously in the future, I'm sure he'll be asking some questions about Wolves. So be sure to check that out. Charlie, thank you very much for jumping on Talking Wolves, and I'll speak to you soon.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Cheers. So big thanks to Charlie once again. I'll make sure I leave a link to his Twitter handle in the description down below. He's gone with a very tight game. I think it will be a tight game. Like I said, Brighton do score goals, but I think Wolves will want an overall improved performance. And if we can get something out of this game, whether it be a point, I think 3 points would be absolutely massive. Put us in a much better position. I think next week's game against Arsenal is very difficult, but Molineux under the lights can be, you know, a completely different ball game. But let's see if we can get a half decent result this weekend. I think it will take a lot of pressure off, give us a little bit of momentum going into that World Cup break, which would be fantastic as well. Do let me know your thoughts. Once again, if you guys want to contribute towards our Wolves Sleep Out, Molineux Sleep Out Foundation, Wolves Foundation fundraising page, get my teeth in. A link for that will be in the description down below. I really do appreciate all of you guys that have contributed so far. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll be back for the match reaction and the fans react over the weekend. And until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon.